Good morning, wealth builders. This is Ravi Gabis, and welcome back to the Gabis Show, where we unlock the secrets of real wealth in the United States every single day. Today, I want to continue the topic of spending management, and today we'll talk about the easiest way of managing your spending, and that's the very reason why most of the people never like uh, managing spendings. What's that? Cutting back. It's the easiest way, but honestly, who doesn't like this idea of cutting back? Because what does it mean? Why you feel uncomfortable or even miserable when hear of this? Because cutting back is limiting yourself. It's like you give a slap on your hand. You say, no, no, no. For the brain, cutting back equals suffering. And here, where the part of the brain whose job is to avoid suffering is already turning on, it says, forget it. Let's go shopping instead. By the way, who loves shopping? Who actually gets pleasure from doing that? And this is how it works. It works in that way. We go shopping to get pleasure. We go to the restaurant to get pleasure. We go on a trip to get pleasure. We go on a training to get pleasure. If it was boring, not interesting, you didn't like the environment, you never got energized, you would hardly go there. So this is how our brain works. And when I was years ago, when my second daughter was born, today I have 4 daughters, my wife spent a couple of weeks at the hospital. My first daughter, she was 3 years old. She was with my grandparents, and I felt alone. I was so sad, so depressed. And one day I finished my job and I went directly to the mall, huge mall, where I bought myself a shirt, a coat, boots, trousers, and I started feeling way better after doing that. And then I went to a nice restaurant, had a wonderful dinner, and I felt happy. So this is how it works. But what I want you to pay attention to, poor people, they really love spending money. They enjoy this process, while they are afraid of investing money, saving money. For example, if I save money and neighbors will figure out about that, or relatives figure out, or friends figure out, they would like to borrow my money and they would never return. Or I go into investments and I will lose everything there. So when it's about spending money, it's kind of joy, you're feeling high, but when it's about saving money, kind of collecting, investing, multiplying, here we have fear, stress, pressure, and what happens with the rich? They don't like spending money. They really feel frustrated when they have to spend money. They ask for discount. You kind of surprised. Why? He's so rich. Why? He's driving Rolls Royce and he asks for a discount. But this is how it works for them. But when it's about investing money, multiplying the capital, or I got 15% return just in 6 months, wow, it's kind of so. And the secret is pretty simple. You need to learn how to get pleasure from saving money, multiplying, investing, creating new money, using the money you have, and teach yourself to suffer when you have to spend money on something that just for everyday life. Yeah, it's like 50 flavors or shadows of gray. Yeah, something like that. Okay, let's check how it works. I've told you that the purpose of money spending management is to make sure that your earnings expand your spending. And the easiest way is cutting back. We have something very basic in our mind, how our brain works. So our emotional state determines what kind of decisions we make and what kind of actions we do. And our actions determine our results. At the moment, we make multiple decisions simultaneously. First of all, what to focus on. For example, there is a glass of water. Is it half empty or half full? The second thing we focus, what does it mean? Is God punishing me or rewarding me? And what am I going to do with all this? And the same thing about cutting back. So why do people usually don't like cutting back? Because when they focus on cutting back, what does it mean for them? It means limiting. Yeah, that very situation when you give a slap on your hand, it's suffering. And of course your brain, which is 150 million years old, says, no, forget about that, let's go shopping instead. So you don't want to do that. But if we go deeper into this thing as cutting back, well, what can we find there? What else can it mean? I call this replacement, the replacement strategy. When, for example, you say, I want to buy a Mercedes, but damn, it's too expensive. Let's buy Toyota or Hyundai or Kia. Yeah, it's not Mercedes, but at least you're not walking. At least you can get to where you want to be. You're kind of moving somehow. Or you want to go on a trip, 5-star hotel on the first line, near the ocean or near the sea. But damn, it's only 3 stars. It's not. It's somewhere in the deep. But anyway, you can take photos. You will get that beautiful tan. So how do you feel here? So you don't refuse. You get at least something. And what your brain starts doing here, that part of the brain, that the parasympathetic system, which is responsible for avoiding suffering, it says, okay, at least something. Maybe we somehow can consider cutting back. But if you go even deeper cutting back, what you can find there? So you focus on cutting back, and what does it mean? I call it discount. So it's about how to get what you get already, but for lower price. So how do you feel? For example, there was an iPhone. My story about my iPhone. How I bought my iPhone 13 Pro. One of my friends, he had a company, and he paid using his company for that iPhone, and I just paid him. And it turned out that I paid 20% less for that iPhone. How did I feel then? I felt great. I thought, damn, everybody pays 100% and I paid only 80%. Who would like to pay less for what you already pay today? And how do you feel yourself then? I'm a badass. Yeah, and of course, what your brain says, let's cut back. But then, if cutting back is so cool, why don't people do that? Because here is the main difference between the thinking of a poor man and the thinking of a millionaire. For the poor man, cutting back is always limiting yourself. It's suffering. And for the rich, cutting back is always discount. The rich, they don't want to pay for things the whole price. They want to pay less for what they want. That's why they always ask for a discount. And if you research the rich, you will figure out that, for example, Richard Branson, by the way, he's here. Yeah, here he is. You can see him here. How he created his company, Virgin Airlines. He went to the office of BOEING in London, if I'm not mistaken. He figured out that they had a plane somewhere in a desert. They didn't use it. He negotiated in the way that he leased that plane for a year, and if business does not work out, the Boeing will get back that plane. And if the price during that year increases, Boeing will have to pay a higher price, market price. So he was kind of negotiating like a bizarre trader. Or Donald Trump. He gained millions of dollars negotiating his deals in real estate. And finally, he became a president. The question is, do you have to be rich to start negotiating, to start asking for a discount? No, because it's very unlikely that you will be able to become rich if you don't start doing that. And of course, people are afraid of that, yeah? Because what can happen if you start ask for a discount? They can refuse. It's kind of personal tragedy. Oh, damn. Yeah, nothing's gonna happen if they don't give you a discount. But usually in 30-40% of situations, they give you a discount. For example, back in Turkey, if you don't negotiate the price, you just tip it. It doesn't work in that way there. You go to the pharmacy and you ask for a discount. You can easily get a discount of 20-30%. And the same thing is here in the United States. Not everywhere, but you can negotiate the price everywhere. It's absolutely okay to ask for a discount. I think that's enough for today. Tomorrow we'll continue this topic. I want to give you one cool tool how to manage your spendings even in a funny and easier way. See you tomorrow. Bye.